Sometimes you can have something right in front of your nose for the longest time and you just can't see the details of it. And then, if you've been looking at it for a long time, the picture starts to come in view a little bit clearer and a little bit clearer and a little bit clearer. This is something that I've been thinking about this morning and I wanted to share it with you viewers. It has to do with the Federal Reserve. And what clued me into this was their recent announcement that they wanted to start unwinding their $4.5 trillion in bonds on their balance sheet this year. And I got thinking about that this morning. And I guess I really haven't thought about it too much since they announced it. And I got thinking about it this morning in particular. And I said to myself, yeah, they want to unwind their balance sheet, and I got thinking about the cover of the Economist magazine that shows the phoenix and all the currencies burning in the year 2018. And let me read you an article here. It says the Federal Reserve wants to start unwinding the $4.5 trillion in bonds on its balance sheet this year. It says Federal Reserve officials have said the shedding of $4.5 trillion in bonds from the central bank it's holding on its balance sheet will begin this year. The revelation came Wednesday from a summary of the Federal Open Market Committee held in March, during which the group approved a quarter-point hike in its benchmark interest rate. Officials at the meeting noted that the Fed is likely on a faster pace with rate hikes ahead. And I got thinking to myself, what do they want to do? Do they want to actually bring on a financial catastrophe by doing this? This is what I was thinking to myself this morning. Because if they not only start raising interest rates higher, but if they start selling off their 4.5 trillion in bonds, in toxic assets into the marketplace, they're going to burst the bond bubble. And I got thinking to myself, if they're going to burst the bond bubble and they're also going to raise interest rates simultaneously, the stock market is in a complete and utter shambles as far as the prices is concerned. I mean, it's just ridiculous. The prices are so over to the moon. It's just like inflated unbelievably. I said to myself, they're going to bring on a deflationary event. If they do this, they're going to bring on a deflationary event. And this deflationary event could be profoundly fast, be profoundly hit profoundly hard, and on the other side of that deflationary event that they would cause, this is what way my mind was working. I said to myself, they will have to come in then with hypermonetary stimulus on the other side. Now, if you don't know what I mean by hypermonetary stimulus, we've had monetary stimulus. Quantitative easing 1, quantitative easing 2, quantitative easing 3, Operation Twist. This was monetary stimulus. Hypermonetary stimulus is something different. It ranges more into the helicopter money sort of thing, and also monetary stimulus like quantitative easing, except 10 times greater. This is hypermonetary stimulus. So I got thinking to myself, I said, gee, if they have to resort to hypermonetary stimulus because of a deflationary event that they've actually caused, then on the other side of that, that'll be finally the destruction of the currencies. And then, hey, what about that cover of the Economist magazine? What did that show? It showed the phoenix standing on the destruction of the currencies all actually burning and in flames. I said to myself, what year was that on the Economist magazine? What year? 2018? And when are they planning on doing this The revelation came Wednesday from the summary of the Federal Open Market Committee, a meeting held in March during which the group approved a quarter-point benchmark interest rate target. Officials at the meeting noted that the Fed is likely on a faster pace with rate hike increases ahead. Unwinding the balance sheet is significant because of its sheer size and the impact it could have on the markets, as Fed members, including Chair Janet Yellen, have dictated that the move itself would amount to a rate hike, on top of rate hikes. And what would that do to the market? The market would crash, simply put, and then they would have to come in with hyper-monetary stimulus. And I just explained to you what hyper-monetary stimulus is. So what would the effect of all this be, and what would the timing be? Well, right now, we got the summer ahead of us and fall ahead of us. And if they pull this racket sometime this fall or late summer, we would get a crash. And then what would happen is toward winter, they would have to come in with the hyper-monetary stimulus, and by next spring, we would be in the middle of the opposite of a deflationary event. We would be in a hyperinflationary event by next spring. And what time is that? Spring of 20 or late winter or very early in 2018. And all of a sudden you get something that fits exactly in, meshes together with that Economist cover magazine and that Economist cover. The two. Well, this coming in, it meshes perfectly with the Economist cover magazine. The timing meshes perfectly like that. Now you have to ask yourself, the next part is all that just a coincidence? Think about it for a minute. Now let's take a little look at the Economist cover magazine, shall we? Okay, this is the Economist magazine cover, and it says in the top, "Get ready for a world currency." And now we have the Phoenix. He's standing there, and on his head he has a diadem or a crown, and that crown means regal or regality, and this means he's standing regal, and he has risen from the burned ashes of the currencies. Now look at underneath his feet. Do you see all the currencies? Every currency there. There's the US dollar. I see the yen. I see the Great British pound, pound sterling. I see them all laying there under his feet. And they're all burning. And this means that the currencies are not, if you notice in symbolism, the currencies are not completely burned to ashes. They're still half burnt, half unburnt, meaning that they've probably lost half of their value. The year is definitively put around his neck, 2018. The Phoenix rises from the ashes. This is a new world system or a new world order, rising from the ashes of the old world order. And this coin around his neck is a centerpiece, and it's made out of gold, meaning gold will be a centerpiece of the new world order currency. Being around his neck shows how valuable it is. In the year 2018, very precisely, this whole thing. And I mean, couldn't this actually be coincidental? When I look at it, I think not. I think that this has been timed, because you have to understand that the bankers control, and the bankers started the Federal Reserve. They control the Federal Reserve. The Federal Reserve is as federal as Federal Express. It's a privately controlled institution, and the bankers own it. And so what are they actually planning here? Are they actually planning on bringing a hyperinflation in 2018, not earlier? And all those years we thought the hyperinflation was coming, but the real plan is just exactly what they have here, 2018. And look at the currencies burning. And everything's pointing toward this. Everything's pointing toward a deflationary event coming, a deflationary shock, and then hyper monetization after the deflationary shock, and a real increase in the economy then during the hyper monetization. Of course, if you're going to throw money at everybody, what's that going to do to the economy? Okay? What's going to happen to the economy if they do helicopter money? Now, I'll tell you, if you don't know what helicopter money is, I'll explain it. How it's going to work is you're going to, instead of you paying your taxes, you're going to get more than a tax cut. You're going to get a tax rebate. And how that tax rebate will work is they will actually, quite literally, ask you how much back taxes you've paid. And they have it on record with your social security number. They know exactly how much taxes you've paid. It's all on computer, listed to your social security number. They're going to give you a percentage, or perhaps even all of that money back that you've paid in back taxes for all these years, in a lump sum. This is what helicopter money is. And all of your neighbors will be in the same thing. You'll see your neighbor next door. You'll hear him screaming inside the house. Ah, ah, ah. He'll come running outside and he'll be waving this check over top of his head. And you'll say, Mr. Jones, what's up? And he'll say, I just got my check back from the government from my tax rebate. It's $184,000. Yippee, yippee. He's running outside and waving the check over his head. And he'll say, guess what? You're going to get one too in the next day or two. And he says, yeah, I know it. I didn't know it was going to, you'll say, but I didn't know it was going to be that much. You know? And so all of a sudden you're going to have $250,000 to spend. This is what helicopter money is. This is how the government can give you money anytime they choose. And massive amounts of money. Now, I'm going to tell you when that helicopter money hits, right? This is what's going to set this currency all burning. Because you're going to have to run into the store just as damn well fast as you can. Because if you don't get in there in time, your neighbor's going to get in there in time ahead of you. And everything's going to be stripped bare. What's that going to do to prices? Okay, if you're a merchant at the store and you see this horde of people coming with wads of bills, right? What are you going to do to your merchandise that's on the aisles? It's going to set everything in motion. And what's this going to do to the economy? It's like I say, when the price of oil goes up, look out. When the helicopter money comes, look out. And this is what's going to happen on the other side of the deflation. When the stock market crashes, this isn't going to happen. That's not going to make your economy go up. That's going to make your economy go down. So Mike Maloney, a lot of people talk about Mike Maloney, and some people don't like him and stuff, but the man's been right. He's predicted things right, and he said we're on a roller coaster ride. He said we're on a roller coaster ride where the economy's going to go down, and then that downward movement is going to send the economy back up again on the other side. It's like the harder you go down on that roller coaster, the faster you're going to go up the other side. And you're going to feel the G-forces of that. We're not on a stable ride. We are on a roller coaster of an economy. And this is how they're going to send it into oblivion. Is their plan is to send it into this deflationary shock. So that then, when the deflationary shock is felt by everybody, then they're going to be able to go ahead with the hypermonetary stimulus. You see, they wouldn't ordinarily be able to pull this hypermonetary stimulus. The people would say, well, you're not able. I think this is just what I just suddenly thought. It suddenly clued into me. Just now, a thought I had. Perhaps 2008 was a test. And they pulled a deflationary shock event in 2008. Not a real significant one, but a deflationary shock event. And they were testing it perhaps to see if they could get their hyper monetary stimulus in. Because they did monetary stimulus, unprecedented monetary stimulus in 2008. And everything went successfully. They were able to get it in and get it implemented without any questions being asked. Well, there was a few questions. They sat down and they asked Mr. Bernanke. They said, Mr. Bernanke, please tell us where that $500 billion went. And he just politely said, no. No. So what do you get by this? This was a test. It was a very successful test. He was allowed to not tell them where $500 billion went. This is the kind of power they got from their deflationary shock event. So if they pull a bigger deflationary shock event this time, And if they scream that the sky is falling, then everybody will just give in and allow them to do hyper-monetary stimulus to their heart's content. And of course, the people will go along with it. Who wouldn't like to get a check in the mail for your back income taxes from the government? And be able to go out to the stores and buy anything you want. You'll be able to buy diamond rings, that new car that you wanted, everything that you wanted. And what'll that do to the economy? That'll push the economy up to the moon. But at the same time, it's going to destroy the currencies. And it'll give them all a chance to usher in the new world currency, which will be gold. And this is what they're telling you here. This is the coin. Look at the coin around his neck. Gold. It's going to be backed by gold. So, what can we gather from this? Well, if you're invested in paper, when they destroy the paper currencies in 2018, which is obviously their plan, you're going to lose everything. It's all going to burn up, just like what's underneath his feet. But if you're invested in what they're going to make the new world currency with a gold standard, then you will be gold and you will be secure, just like the coin around the neck of the phoenix. So I hope you liked listening to what I had to say. And thank you very much. And like and subscribe, and we will catch you in the next article. Bye.